Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I am feeling much better. Today I want to talk about how I survived COVID, what I watched, the one game I played, and I played it a lot. I'll get to the game I played a little later in the video. A phenomenal game that you guys are going to want to check out. And first of all, I just want to talk about what COVID was like for me, how it affected me, the symptoms I had. So after 2 years of avoiding getting COVID, I was very careful during this time, but I did have to work. I had to do my day job, which at the time was an essential worker, and I did have to go into work quite a bit, but I wore a mask and I social distanced the best I could. I avoided COVID for the longest time, but with this crazy Omicron variant, I finally got it, and it was not fun. The first 3 days, I did have a bad cough and bad congestion, but I never did lose my sense of smell. I didn't get a sore throat. I never really had trouble breathing. I never really felt like that I had to go to the doctor. When I developed this bad cough, I took a COVID test and I was positive. And it did. For 3 days, I was pretty much bedridden. I mean, I could get up and move around a little bit. I could enjoy some movies and TV shows, which I'm going to get into a little bit, tell you guys what I watched and just what I did while I was resting, while I was recuperating. I didn't feel like doing much, to be honest with you. And I did get pretty lazy during this. I say lazy, it was more just being sick and recovering, because COVID, even if you have mild symptoms, it can take a lot out of you. Now, I attribute my mild symptoms because I am fully vaccinated. I'm double vaxxed plus the booster, and just too many people I know personally and that I've heard about that are unvaccinated just had terrible symptoms and had to be hooked up to ventilators and on and on and on. For sure, hopefully you guys are vaccinated, because your symptoms will likely be much less than if you are not. And then also I'm in pretty good physical shape. I still run and play basketball and ride my bike and do all that kind of stuff. And I eat pretty okay most of the time, although I do have a sweet tooth. But anyway, it could have been a whole lot worse. I'm not going to complain about it too much. It did take me about a week and a half to test, to get a negative test. So I was homebound, quarantining the whole time, and I got outside some and everything once I quit feeling so bad, but I did spend a lot of time couch-bound and bedridden and that kind of thing, and I did see some pretty cool stuff on television. It's so much better than when I was a kid. When I was young, I had bronchitis pretty bad. It's sort of like asthma, and it would waylay me for a few days where I'd be home from school or whatever, and there just was not a lot to do when you felt sick. Daytime television was horrible for the most part. We didn't have a VCR. It was pretty much before those. VCRs were invented in the 70s, but we certainly didn't get one until later in the 80s. And, there just wasn't much to do. I had a box of comics and magazines that I would read again and again and again, but it is so much better today, with the video game collection, with streaming services and everything. There's just a lot more to do. It's amazing. And Netflix and HBO Max definitely helped me survive COVID, because, especially those first 3 days, I did not feel like doing anything else other than just laying in bed and watching TV. I was just zapped of energy. And like I said, I had the cough and the congestion. So on Netflix, I binged all 7 episodes of the new season of Ozark. Now it's part 1, part 2 will be later, and that will wrap up the series. Ozark is a great show. I love Jason Bateman. I've always been a fan of that actor, all the way back to Silver Spoons when he was a kid. And he's just a cool actor, and this is such a great show. It's intense, it's interesting. You kind of feel sympathy for these characters, even though they're up to no good. And I just really enjoyed the new season. It's as strong as the earlier stuff. There's no letdown with the new season, so I highly recommend it. And if you haven't watched Ozark and you like Breaking Bad and shows like that, I would definitely recommend it. Seinfeld. Now, I watched Seinfeld when it originally aired back in the day. A friend of mine, when Seinfeld was new, the first season wasn't real. It wasn't heavily, it wasn't that popular when it first came out. It took some time to get rolling. And, you know, on into the second and third season or whatever, it started gaining momentum. But that first season was pretty obscure when it was on and new. But a friend of mine said, hey, you need to watch Seinfeld. I'm like, I need to watch what? So I started watching it pretty early on and really enjoyed it. And I'm happy to say that it does hold up very well. I watched quite a bit of Seinfeld, and if you didn't know, it is co-created by Larry David of Curb Your Enthusiasm fame. And the show does have that type of cynicism, that type of humor, that type of sort of, you know, selfish, unlikable characters, but it works out into a great, funny show. And I've spent part of my time during this, my personal lockdown, my personal quarantining, watching season 7, which is absolutely brilliant. Curb Your Enthusiasm really hit its stride around seasons 5, 6, and 7. The series is great all the way through, but I love these seasons with episodes like Vehicular Fellatio and the Bare Midriff, which is just laugh out loud funny, and the Meet the Black season is so genius. Just a great series, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it just really helped me out. It helped me get through this, just to kill time, to get my mind off of, you know, just all the, just not feeling good, just flat out not feeling good. I watched a lot of Friends. Now, a lot of people don't like Friends, the TV show. They think the characters are, you know, just too perfect, and it's not realistic that they live in these fancy apartments in Manhattan. You know, these big, nice apartments, and it just seems like, I don't know, the song is a little disingenuous, you know, the theme song. But I like this show. I think the characters are interesting and funny, and it's just kind of like TV equivalent of comfort food. It's just, you can relax, and I definitely would just put on some episodes and just fall asleep. More than anything, the show is just easy to digest, and it helped me relax. So watched a lot of Friends. Now, I did watch some movies once I started feeling better and could concentrate more, and I really got a little restless and wanted to watch something with a little more meat to it, a little more substance, or at least something I haven't seen before. Free Jack. This is a science fiction film. I believe it's from the 90s that I've been wanting to watch for a long time because Mick Jagger, of all people, Mick Jagger is the bad guy in this science fiction film, and the protagonist is Emilio Estevez. And I've always heard it wasn't a good movie. I heard about this movie, decades ago, and I'd always heard it wasn't very good. So I never really was in a big hurry to watch it, but it was just sort of in the back of my mind. And it's on HBO Max, so I thought I'd give it a try. I made it about halfway through before I bailed because it's not a great film, but it was interesting to see Mick Jagger in this role because I'm a big Rolling Stones fan. So even though I didn't finish it, it was kind of interesting, but I might go back to it and finish it, but I'm not in a big hurry. I watched Say Anything, that romantic comedy from the 80s with John Cusack. You know, it's got that famous scene where he's holding up the boombox with Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes playing, try to woo the girl. This film was interesting. It's not your typical romantic comedy. It's kind of quirky, and it's just maybe a little dark in spots relative to most romantic comedies. But I did enjoy it, but it would not be nearly as famous today without that boombox scene, where he's holding it over his head and the great Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes, is playing. That is definitely one of those movies with one of the most iconic, memorable movie scenes of all time, with he's holding that boombox. But I don't think the film would be as fondly remembered today, or as just remembered in general without that scene. But anyway, that was fun to watch, and it went down easy while I had COVID. Now, I watched A Perfect Murder with Michael Douglas, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Viggo Mortensen. Again, this is on HBO Max. This is a fantastic movie that I'd never seen before. It's a really excellent thriller. It's a remake of Alfred Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder, and it was really well made. Obviously, Michael Douglas is a great actor. Gwyneth Paltrow did a great job. Viggo Mortensen was a sort of a great, sleazoid that slept with Michael Douglas's wife, and just a cool movie. Not really a sleazoid, more of a, just one of these good-looking guys that you love to hate, that kind of thing. So it was an excellent film, and I'd never seen it before, so that was cool. So a couple of films, or at least 1.5 movies I'd never seen before. Now, on some other streaming device, I'm not sure which, because, I was sick during this time, so I didn't remember everything, and I even tried to track it down and couldn't find it. Regardless, I watched Brian De Palma's Dress to Kill, the great Brian De Palma. the director of Carrie. I think his two greatest films are Carrie and Dressed to Kill. Now, I'd seen Dressed to Kill before, but it is another excellent thriller with Michael Caine, Angie Dickinson, absolutely gorgeous, and Nancy Allen. If you're a science fiction film, you may remember her from RoboCop. She is absolutely gorgeous in this film and does a great acting job. And it was very cool seeing Keith Gordon in this film. When I first watched this movie back in the day, I didn't necessarily know who he was, but he is Jason Mellon in Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield's son in the film, and it was really cool seeing him in this movie. And he's also Doug in Jaws too, so pretty cool. Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, excellent thriller, dark, interesting, a gripping film. I recommend it for anybody that just loves a good thriller. Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, but you might have to hunt it down. I don't remember where I watched it. All right, guys, so let's get to the game I played, the one video game I played when I had COVID. I mostly just felt like laying on the couch or lying in bed, just not really doing much of anything, not even pushing buttons on a game controller. But I did manage to play the heck out of Rebooteroids. What is Rebooteroids? It is an Asteroids remake, or sort of a reimagining of the great arcade classic Asteroids, one of my favorite games of all time. The game that I mastered back in the day that was at the Quickway, the convenience store near my junior high school. I mastered that game, and I was so glad later on when they came out with Asteroids Deluxe and Blasteroids and all those sequels. And more recently, very recently, Asteroids Recharged on, I played it on my Switch, and it's on the Atari VCS and other consoles. But Rebooteroids is a game I got for Christmas. It's kind of reminds me of Asteroids Recharged, but it came out well before that, several years ago. It is a fantastic updating of Asteroids. I absolutely loved it. Now, I got this game for Christmas for my son, and he got it from the Atari Age store. And at the same time, I finally got AV cables for my Atari Jaguar. It looks so much better than the way I used to play it with the old cables. Awesome stuff. And Rebooteroids, I was really shocked by how much I like this game. I figured I would like it because I heard it was good. And you guys know I love retro gaming, just simple, intense, pick up and play games, Twitch games. I love these. I love arcade classics. I love shooters. But I was shocked by just how much I enjoyed Rebooteroids, and I played the heck out of it. It has sort of Tempest 2000 aesthetics. It gave me that sort of vibe with the cool voice effects, nice graphics. It has fun challenge stages. The original Asteroids, just more, space rocks come out on the screen when you've cleared a wave. Well, this has challenge stages. It's got levels, fantastic shooting action, and it's even got some humor. I was really surprised by this. Excellent stuff. More games, more shooters should have humor. It's obviously not a cute 'em up, it's not that kind of humor, but it's just got some humor. You got to play the game to check it out. It's an excellent companion to Asteroids Recharged. It's got some great power-ups like triple fire, like firing ahead and behind, and some different power-ups like that. I highly recommend Rebooteroids for the Atari Jaguar. And if you don't have a Jaguar, why not? You at least want Tempest 2000 and a few other titles for the console. I do enjoy my Atari Jaguar, even though it's not a great system, but it does have some great games on it. It's got a few great games. And with the homebrew scene, even more the better. Awesome. Get you some Rebooteroids for the Atari Jaguar. It helped me survive COVID, as did these TV shows and movies that I mentioned. Typically, we look for movies and TV just as, to unwind at the end of a long day or a hard day at work, just something for entertaining. But sometimes movies, TV shows, video games are essential for our wellness, just to, a way to occupy our time and mind while we're sick. Can you imagine just lying in a dark room the whole time you're sick, or just sitting around staring at the wall? Thanks to entertainment like this, and I'm a big reader, but when I'm sick, I really don't typically like to read. It's just too much effort. I don't want to, and the page just doesn't, you just don't feel like engaging with a book as much and all that text when you're sick. At least I don't. So movies, TV, and video games are perfect for this. So Daisy, I'm going to put you down while I tell my viewers, or ask my viewers, to subscribe if you like what you see here. If you enjoy my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video. That's really helpful. And let me know in the comments, have you had COVID? What were the symptoms like? And what did you do to keep yourself occupied during your stretch? I hope you guys and gals out there are staying safe, healthy, strong, and are doing awesome. And check out Rebooteroids for the Atari Jaguar. You can get it through the Atari Age store. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. We'll talk to you in another video. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Game Series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry, Daisy.